Hey friends, Leigh Hayes here from the Greater Lovell Land Trust. I don't know about you, but I'm in frog heaven right now. The quaking rucks of the wood frogs make me smile each time I approach a vernal pool. Of course, all quiets down when I get too close. What is a vernal pool? It's a shallow temporary pond that is wet from snowmelt or spring rain for at least several weeks most years, has no major inlet or outlet, and definitely no fish, because they would gobble everything up. Everything in the vernal pool must either hop, walk, or fly out, or burrow down once the water dries up. When conditions are just right, meaning the ice has melted, it's been raining all day and evening, and the temperature is about 42 degrees, wood frogs leave their winter resorts, where they lazily spent the colder months as frog sickles, under the cover of leaves, logs, and snow, and return to the vernal pools where they were bred. Do you recognize wood frogs? They're about 1.5 to 2.5 inches long and come in shades of tan, brown, and rust, much like the decaying leaves in the bottom of the pond. The thing that distinguishes them the most, though, is the fact that they wear a robber's mask that extends from the tip of the nose through the eye and tympanum, that round circle beside the eye that is the ear, and tapers off above the base of the front legs. All winter long, sugar in their blood protected them from freezing, kind of like antifreeze, but once the temps begin to warm just a tad, that same sugar fuels them, and they're in a terrible frenzy to blurt out their songs and breed. Males, which are actually smaller than females, reach their natal pools first. Natal means it's the pool where the frog was born. Anyway, the male starts quaking their ruck-ruck love songs in hopes of attracting females. To us, the noisy calls sound like spring has sprung, but female wood frogs hear it as let's have a date. Females show up within a day or two. After mating and laying their eggs, the females hop out of the pond and return to the upland habitat. It seems like within a day or two all eggs are laid, but the ever hopeful males hang on for another week or so, just in case. And then they too hop out, leaving the eggs to develop on their own. Have you ever looked at a wood frog egg mass? As is their habit, the female attaches the mass to a twig, and the tiny black embryo of each egg is surrounded by a perfectly round, clear envelope about 1/3 inch in diameter. These gelatinous blobs can consist of up to 1,500 individual eggs. Egg-mazing indeed. Clusters tend to be located in one section of a pool, and this year I'm finding them attached to twigs in the southeastern corner. Together, the many clusters form a community and cover an area bigger than the tire of an 18-wheeler. So here's another word for you: amphibian. You've probably said it over and over again, but do you know what it means? Amphi means both, and bio means life. So an amphibian is one who experiences life on both sides, meaning it spends part of its life in the water and part of its life on the land. How cool is that? You'd do the same, right? Well, not exactly, because you can't swim all day and all night for a few weeks, but on hot summer days, I bet you wish you could. Back to the wood frogs. In a couple of weeks, the eggs hatch into brownish-black tadpoles. As they grow, their rounded tail fins become translucent with gold and blackish flecks of color. Their metamorphosis, or change to adult form, is complete by late June or early July. So here's hoping the pool retains water until then. I know that the one I watch most often has been drying up before most of the tadpoles develop into frogs. But still, there are adult frogs there every year to start the process all over again. And this year, I've seen many more than in the past 3 or 4 years. Initially, newly hatched larvae feed on their remaining egg yolk to start life. They are mainly herbivores, and with the specialized rasping mouth parts that develop, they feed on algae and microorganisms scraped from the aquatic vegetation. As they grow older and larger, they consume decaying plants and some animal matter, including small insect larvae like the mosquitoes that are currently flipping somersaults in the water. Unfortunately for them, but in the web of life, good for others, tadpoles often succumb to cannibalism, especially to their larger relatives. They are also eaten by predaceous diving beetles, salamanders, turtles, birds, and raccoons. If they survive all of this, after about 2 months on a rainy night, they'll hop out of the pool and make their way upland as they acquire their adult coloring and markings. Wood frogs aren't the only ones who spend some time in vernal pools. Another amphibian that uses the pool as a breeding spot is the spotted salamander. Spotted salamanders are slate-colored, with 2 irregular rows of round yellow polka dots on their back from head to tail. They can reach 8 inches in length and have been known to live 20 years or more in the wild. They too travel to the pool on rainy spring nights. The male deposits spermatophores, white jelly-like packets, on sticks and leaves them within the pool. To me, they look like miniature pieces of cauliflower. After a frenzied dance, the female picks up the spermatophores and fertilizes her eggs with them. Then she will deposit up to 250 eggs in a gelatinous mass. It takes the eggs about a month to hatch into salamander tadpoles. While wood frog eggs are individually wrapped in the gelatinous sac, the entire blob of spotted salamander eggs are coated. Both of these masses contain a species of algae that produces oxygen the eggs need to breathe, so you may notice that as they mature, they grow greener in color. We don't often get to actually see the secretive adult spotted salamanders since they are nocturnal, meaning they're active at night and spend most of their time in holes and burrows. But because of this underground lifestyle, they are known as mole salamanders. And then there are the fairy shrimp. What? Yes, you heard me correctly. And at the vernal pool off the Whiting Hill Loop at Heald and Bradley Ponds Reserve, there are fairy shrimp. They are crustaceans, and so like lobsters and other shrimp, have a tough outer exoskeleton and jointed legs. Don't you just love that translucent salmon color? These tiny half-inch forms swim upside down and move their 11 pairs of legs like a crew in a rowing show. Fairy shrimp are special because they can only survive in clean water where they lay their eggs, and the eggs must dry out and get wet again before they can hatch, so that when the pool dries up, the eggs remain on the forest floor. Some eggs may stay dormant for up to 15 years before hatching. Here's another cool fact. The eggs of a fairy shrimp can survive being ingested by a predator and come out in its scat. Some of you know that I think scat is always worth a look, but this fact just makes it even more meaningful. Then again, since fairy shrimp need water to hatch, it's best if the scat lands in a vernal pool. And now I have to share with you my exciting discovery of this week. While checking on the local VP, noticing some egg masses at the edge and right on the pond floor. They looked similar to the globs of spotted salamander masses that I've seen there in the past, but they were in sheets atop the leaves and not masses attached to twigs. I may be wrong, but I do believe that for the first time in my life, I've seen the eggs of blue spotted salamanders. Now, if only I could spy an adult. Do you see the pearly white eggs? Those are dead and are being consumed by fungus. The food chain in a vernal pool is amazing, and nothing goes to waste. There are many more species that we associate with spring and vernal pools, including spring peepers with their high-pitched instruments adding to the orchestra, and insect larvae including flyfish and caddisflies. But in Maine, the wood frog, spotted salamander, fairy shrimp, and blue spotted salamander are the 4 important species that indicate the pool is significant by state measures. So, if you have a chance, head out to your local pool, do some pond dipping with reusable containers, and try to identify what you see. If you spot egg masses, try to differentiate between them. Are they wood frog or salamander? Can you count how many? Some will look like bubbles atop the water, but follow the vegetation down and you may notice more underwater. For a pool to be significant, it needs any of the following: 40 or more wood frog egg masses, 20 or more spotted salamander egg masses, 10 or more blue spotted egg masses, which tend to be in sheets on the pond floor, one fairy shrimp. Yes, just seeing one fairy shrimp means the pool is significant. It doesn't have to have any of the other species. In Maine, there are about 422 vernal pools statewide that have been listed as significant and are therefore regulated by the state. If they are man-made, such as the one I frequent, they cannot be included. I'm bummed about that, but still love all that it has offered me over the years, including my most recent discovery and therefore understanding of the blue-spotted salamander eggs. Well, that's a lot of information. And now you need to head out and look for wood frog and salamander eggs. Listen first, for the frogs and spring peepers will surely lead the way by their songs. Remember that these amphibians are sensitive to moisture, so if you pick one up, make sure your hands are moist and not covered in bug spray. Remember also, as you approach a pool, the songs will diminish. Stand quietly nearby and wait patiently. Within 10 to 15 minutes, if you are as still as can be, you may see frogs swimming. And as you stand there, you may notice other things worth noting. Check back frequently and watch as the frogs go through several stages of metamorphosis: egg, tadpole, froglet, and finally frog. Go ahead, locate a vernal pool. Get to know it, treasure it, protect it. I hope that you too will feel like you're living in frog heaven.